A critical alert from deep space? The anomaly known as 3I Atlas has just been joined by a second, identical object. Right now, our solar system is hosting two visitors that are breaking the same fundamental law of physics. We are witnessing an event so statistically improbable, it forces us to ask, is this a natural fluke or a coordinated signal? Comet 3I Atlas first captured attention with a behavior that left astronomers speechless. Instead of its tail streaming away from the sun, it was pointing directly at it. This defies everything we know about solar radiation and cosmic wind. Now, we have confirmation of a second object, R2 Swan, doing the exact same thing. Two celestial bodies, both emitting streams of plasma and dust back toward the solar inferno. The laws of physics say this shouldn't be happening. So why is it? The standard model is clear. A comet's tail is a windsock, pushed outward by the constant flow of particles from the sun. For a tail to point sunward means the rules have changed, or we're missing a key piece of the puzzle entirely. What force could override the solar wind? When you map their trajectories, the plot evolves from curious to deeply strange. These two comets aren't just anywhere. They are positioned almost perfectly on opposite flanks of planet Earth. This creates a geometric formation so precise, it feels intentional. Coincidence is the last refuge of the unexplained. The parallels don't stop there. Both objects emit a distinctive, nearly identical emerald green glow, a signature of specific excited molecules. Their closest approaches to the sun, known as perihelion, occurred within weeks of each other. Most critically, their bizarre reverse tails appeared in the same narrow window of time. This stack of similarities is what transforms an oddity into a profound mystery. Is a shared local solar event warping the environment around both? Could a temporary reversal of magnetic fields near the sun or a blast of unknown energetic particles be tugging at these comets? Or does the explanation venture into territory that challenges our very understanding of the cosmos? To find clues, we turn to the front line of astronomical discovery, the astronomer's telegram. Here, urgent alerts paint a picture of turmoil. The bulletins for R2 Swan report a violent, sudden surge in brightness and, crucially, signs that its nucleus is fracturing, coming apart under duress. Notably, the same channel reports that another comet in the Atlas family has shattered into multiple fragments. It appears a wave of destabilization is affecting multiple visitors to our inner solar system. But what's the source? The conventional explanation involves viewing geometry. The idea that from our vantage point on Earth, dust particles can create an optical illusion of a sunward tail. But this comfortable theory buckles under the weight of the evidence. Two separate comets with the same rare color, the same timing, and in a mirrored formation. This is beyond illusion. We're looking at a synchronized anomaly. When the universe repeats itself, it's trying to tell us something. This compels us to ask a more profound question. Could these natural objects be interacting with an unnatural force? In an era where discussions of anomalous aerial phenomena and unconventional propulsion have entered the mainstream, we must broaden our scope. Could these comets be natural probes, or simply caught in the wake of something else? A technology or energy that manipulates local spacetime and plasma. Their chosen paths are another critical data point. Both travel extremely close to the ecliptic plane, the dense, energetic highway of the solar system. This isn't a random choice. It's the region most saturated with the sun's influence, and potentially, the effects of any unknown force. Consider the energy required to redirect a comet's tail on such a scale. It is astronomical, pun intended. Does this energy originate from a cataclysmic, but natural, solar event we've never witnessed? Or does its signature point elsewhere? Piecing together the timeline deepens the intrigue. R2 Swan reached its perihelion in September, slipping into the inner system largely undetected until the last moment. This stark fact reveals the vast gaps in our surveillance of near solar space. While this was happening, 3I Atlas was still on its long approach from the asteroid belt. Current orbital simulations now show a stunning alignment. Earth, 3I Atlas, and R2 Swan are nearly in a straight line. A perfect silent configuration in the void. This is the kind of pattern that stops scientific inquiry cold and demands a new hypothesis. So, what are we left with? We are not presenting a conclusion, but a formidable and genuine cosmic question. The serene,
clockwork model of our solar system is being challenged by dynamic, chaotic, and deeply puzzling events. These two sentinels, with their backward-flowing signatures, may be the first clear herald of a paradigm shift. A shift not just in what we know, but in what we believe is possible in our celestial neighborhood. If you value this deep exploration of cosmic mysteries and want winds of thought to continue delivering these insights, please support the channel. Hit the like button. It directly helps us delve into the next enigma. Share your perspective below. Do you see new physics or the hint of something else at play in our skies? I look forward to your thoughts. A cosmic mirror has appeared in our sky, and what it reflects is rewriting the rules of our solar system. A question that, until now, even the astronomers have not been able to definitively answer. Based on the measurements and observations collected, the picture of R2 Swan over the past time has become clearer in a way that is both scientific and provocative. During the beginning of November, there was absolutely no sign of R2 Swan possessing a tail pointing towards the Sunday. However, just a few weeks later, this phenomenon appeared unexpectedly and became more prominent. Part of the reason may come from the gradual improvement of the geometric angle between Earth and R2 Swan's orbit, allowing us to look directly at structures that were previously hidden. But that doesn't rule out a more intriguing possibility that the sun-facing tail itself is a relatively recent formation. And the unusual synchronization between R2 Swan and 3I Atlas is something worth asking about. On November 10th, R2 Swan showed only a very small faint streak trending toward the Sunday. The main tail of the comet was still radiating away from the sun as usual. But by November 18th, the difference was almost startling. The sun-facing tail had ballooned, stretched, and appeared more prominent than in any previous image. Now, two structures were clearly visible. A standard tail being blown away by the solar wind, and a second tail growing in the exact opposite direction toward the center of the solar system. What's remarkable is that R2 Swan is becoming more and more like 3 Atlas in an uncanny way. Not only in its green hue, not only in its orbital position close to the ecliptic plane, but now both possess extremely rare, sun-oriented tails appearing almost simultaneously. And if considered on the scale of the entire solar system, their current positions are even more profound. Both are located on opposite sides of the Earth, forming a nearly perfect symmetry exactly like a pincer movement encircling our planet. From a scientific perspective, this may still be within the realm of rare geometric and plasma dynamics phenomena. But from the perspective of what is happening simultaneously, the coincidence of timing, physical characteristics, orbits, colors, and especially the rare tail. This is a chain of events that is hard to ignore. Perhaps we are witnessing an unprecedented astronomical event. Or perhaps this is just the tip of something much larger at work in the space around Earth. Whatever the answer, the evolving similarities between R2 Swan and 3 Atlas take this story far beyond the realm of a typical cometary phenomenon. And when placed in their current pincer position, the cosmic picture becomes not only strange, but also feels as if something is silently watching us from two sides of the sky. As we follow recent optical observations of R2 Swan, we see it increasingly exhibiting characteristics that closely match 3 Atlas, from its relative size, the shape of its tail to its jet structure, and the pattern of material ejected from the comet's nucleus. Descriptions and reports from the astronomical community showed that R2 Swan not only has a main tail extending away from the sun, but also a distinct jet of gas pointing in the opposite direction, turning towards the sun, a feature previously associated with 3I Atlas. It is worth noting that descriptions from multiple independent sources show the same phenomenon, although from different observation sites. Professional and amateur astronomers on community platforms such as X are constantly posting new observations reflecting a broad consensus that the sun tail is completely real, not an optical illusion or a measurement error. This wide-scale repetition suggests that this feature of R2 Swan is stable, structured, and not random. Some reports even describe the movement of R2 Swan across the sky as moving quite rapidly. And during that time, the tail facing the sun has maintained a consistent shape without changing into the tangled or split style of normal dust tails that are strongly affected by the solar wind. This stability further increases the unusualness of the phenomenon. To further strengthen the authenticity, Astronomer's Telegram, a reputable source of information, recorded this phenomenon, not just once, but through 2 independent observation teams that confirmed that the reported structures did not come from a single observing station, did not depend on the equipment or local conditions, but were real characteristics of the comet. And when we put it all together, what we see is a consistent picture. R2 Swan is evolving in a way that makes it more and more like 3 Atlas, almost becoming a copy of the unusual phenomenon. 2 comets, 2 rare tails, 2 orbits close to the ecliptic, and 2 opposing positions around Earth, all at the same time, as if they were working together to create a strategic layout in space. Whether approached from a scientific or a hypothetical perspective, what is happening is certainly no ordinary coincidence. This series of events is increasingly synchronized, consistent, and difficult to explain, suggesting that R2 Swan and 3 Atlas may be participating in a process we are only just beginning to understand. A story where each new observation reveals a deeper layer of meaning in the mysterious picture of the solar system. At this point, 3I Atlas and R2 Swan are so similar that they are almost twins moving through the solar system. If one wants to imagine them as space invaders strategically positioning themselves for some stealthy maneuver, the current setup is almost too perfect to be true. But honestly, I don't think they are hostile or have any offensive intentions. The story is much more interesting to me than that. I lean more towards a hypothesis that 3 Atlas is a non-traditional interstellar object, perhaps a form of matter that current science has only scratched the surface of. The plasma biology hypothesis, which suggests that plasmas may possess primitive consciousness, distributed intelligence, or self-organizing behavior, is emerging as a new promising yet mysterious field. In this perspective, a comet is not just a lifeless lump of ice and dust, but may carry self-regulating energy structures that act almost like a high vibrational life form that humans have not yet clearly defined. If we accept that possibility, every comet that flies close to the sun interacting with the plasma field, the magnetosphere, and the enormous energy radiation may be participating in a larger process, a form of behavior or ritual that we do not yet have the tools to decipher. In this context, the appearance of 2 objects with similar unusual characteristics appearing side by side and forming a special formation around Earth could open up a whole new realm of vision for cosmic life. Of course, we cannot completely rule out the more daring hypothesis that such objects may be high-tech spacecraft, or even structures controlled by non-human intelligence. The universe is too vast, too ancient, and too complex for humans to claim to be the only life form that has reached this level of understanding. To think that the entire universe exists only to be concentrated in a small solar system, or worse, to serve as a simulation in which we are the main characters, is simply absurd on the scale of the universe that astronomy has recorded. Just looking at the sky, we know that we are standing in the middle of a brilliant universe full of mysterious structures and energy processes beyond imagination. In that picture, asking what 3I Atlas or R2 Swan are plasma organisms, intelligence structures, probes, or simply unusual comets is not crazy, but the first step in expanding our thinking. The universe is so big that the idea that we are alone is almost the most unrealistic of all the hypotheses ever proposed. Looking out into the solar system, we see a vast universe surrounded by countless stars. A series of red dwarfs, potential hotspots for life, are close to us. Further out are the Pleiades star cluster 444 light years away, or neighboring star systems such as Alpha and Proxima Centauri, Sirius, and many others. The space around Earth, whether measured in light years or parsecs, is extremely dynamic. With more planets than stars, it is unreasonable to assume that there is no advanced life somewhere. The Earth is in the Goldilocks zone of the solar system. But life may appear in many forms unlike what we know, even as plasma or sophisticated energy structures. When considering the interdimensional element, that is a reality where space and time are no longer limits, the existence of beings that can freely move within the star system is also entirely possible. So, in my opinion, objects like 3I, Atlas, or R2 Swan are most likely not technological products in the human sense. Because when an intelligent civilization reaches a high enough level of evolution, their technology will seem like magic to us. Perhaps these entities do not come from somewhere else, but always exist in a parallel layer of reality, sometimes intersecting with our world and leaving traces in the form of strange comets or interstellar objects. This is just my personal thought when considering the orbits of 3, Atlas, and R2 Swan from a strategic perspective. A habit of mine, having loved science fiction since childhood. But it seems that I am not the only one who is interested. More and more people around the world are also starting to care about the big questions that these strange phenomena bring. Are we really alone in this vast universe? Everything we see from 3 Atlas and R2 Swan, from the strange alignment, the near ecliptic orbit, the tail pointing towards the sun to the unexplained movements, is gradually lifting the veil of mystery about how the solar system operates. Is this just a rare coincidence or a sign of a larger cosmic process that humans are only beginning to touch? We don't have the answer yet, but it's clear that the universe is still sending us signals that make us rethink our place in the vastness of space. If you want to continue exploring mysterious phenomena in the universe, follow the latest updates on comets, interstellar objects, and secrets that science has yet to decipher. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. There are still many stories waiting to be told, and you definitely don't want to miss the next journey. Furthermore, the observational data presents another layer of complexity that challenges even the most sophisticated models. The rate at which R2's swan's sunward tail develops suggests an acceleration of underlying processes that we have not accounted for in standard cometary science. This isn't a gradual evolution, but appears as a phase transition, a sudden shift in state that implies a trigger, either internal to the comet or external from its environment. The simultaneous nature of the shift across two separate bodies argues powerfully for an external solar system-wide trigger. Yet our network of solar observatories has detected no corresponding massive coronal ejection or magnetic storm of sufficient magnitude to explain the phenomenon. This absence of a clear solar cause is in itself a significant data point. It leaves open a disturbing gap in the causal chain. Adding historical context deepens the mystery. While reverse tails are documented as extreme rarities, a search through archives reveals no case of two appearing concurrently, let alone in such a geometrically perfect opposition around Earth. The closest analogs are debated historical accounts from centuries past, often dismissed as observational error. This lack of precedent makes the current event statistically anomalous to a degree that pushes against the boundaries of natural randomness. It invites us to consider whether our definition of natural is too narrow, too rooted in a quiet mechanistic cosmos that may no longer reflect reality. The plasma hypothesis itself warrants deeper exploration. The concept of complex plasma is not French. It's studied in laboratories where dust particles immersed in plasma can self-organize into crystalline structures and dynamic, lifelike filaments. Scaling this concept to the astronomical level, a comet plunging through the sun's magnetosphere is essentially injecting a massive stream of dust and gas into a natural, colossal plasma chamber. Could conditions near the sun, during specific cycles, catalyze these components into a larger, temporary, coherent structure? A macro-scale plasma entity that manifests as the stable sun-pointing tail? This would not be life, as biology defines it, but a form of transient, organized complexity arising from fundamental physics in a way we've rarely, if ever, observed at this scale. The synchronization of two such events could then point to a specific, and perhaps brief, threshold condition being met in the solar plasma environment. A condition our instruments are not yet calibrated to recognize as a unified state. On the more speculative front, the technological signature argument need not imply sleek ships. A sufficiently advanced intelligence might use engineered natural phenomena as markers, probes, or even communication tools. A manipulated comet, its tail serving as a temporary beacon or pointer, is a concept that appears in rigorous scientific literature regarding interstellar communication. The efficiency of using existing celestial bodies as billboards is profound. The symmetrical positioning could then be a geometric primer, a way to signal intentionality by creating a pattern that natural forces are exceedingly unlikely to produce by chance. It is a message that doesn't require decoding a radio signal. It requires recognizing a pattern of extreme statistical improbability in the sky itself. This moves the debate from "are they here?" to "are they demonstrating they are here?" in a way that is deliberately ambiguous, bypassing our expectations for a clear technological hello. Finally, this event forces a philosophical reckoning with human perception. Our science excels at reducing phenomena to component parts, but it struggles with synchronicity and pattern recognition on a systemic level. The separate disciplines of heliophysics, cometary science, and orbital mechanics each examine slices of this puzzle. But the truly unsettling conclusion emerges only when their data is combined into a single holistic picture. That picture suggests coordination. Whether that coordination stems from a hitherto unknown natural feedback loop within the solar system or from a non-human agency, the implication is the same. Our solar system is capable of behaviors far more complex, coordinated, and possibly intelligent than our textbooks have allowed. The veil is not just thinning on a mystery about two comets. It is pulling back on our anthropocentric view of the cosmos as a passive backdrop. We are being prompted by the silent configuration of ancient ice and dust to consider that we may be living inside a system that is awake, interactive, and far stranger than we dreamed.